Welcome to the channel. My name is Douglas, and in today's video, I want to walk you through how to split and layer sounds really quickly on the Nord Stage 4. Let's go ahead and turn this on. And while this turns on, I wanted to mention that I've got a whole training course on the Nord Stage 4. If you're not aware of that and you want something that walks you step by step through all the essentials of this keyboard, go check it out on my website, DSoundman.com. Let's jump right over here and take a look at a few things. So the very first thing I'm gonna do, and it's a really nice little trick if you wanna start with kind of a blank slate when you're building sounds or just kind of learning how to use the keyboard, is hold Shift and tap on this Section Edit Layer Init button. That's gonna bring up the Layer Initialize screen, and we're just gonna tap on All, but you could initialize just one sound section compared to all. So these soft buttons on the screen here correspond with the 4 buttons below the screen. So we'll tap the number 1 button, and that's gonna initialize everything. So now we are just on a basic grand piano sound, the white grand sample. When we want to layer sounds on the Nord Stage 4, we can quickly do this by turning one or more layers on at a time. And what I mean by layers are these faders. So we have A and B, and A, B, C in each of our respective organ, piano, and synth sections. These faders correspond to the layers within these sound sections, and each layer can have a different sample assigned to it. So for example, in the organ section, we have A and B. We could turn those on by turning on the organ section, and it's gonna default to the first one on. But if we wanna turn layers on and off, we can tap on the layer to turn it on, or tap on both layers to turn both of them on. So if we're over in the synth section, let's turn that on. Again, it defaults to layer A on, but if we want all 3, we press all 3 buttons, A, B, and C together, and boom, now all 3 are layered. Now, in order to pick samples, so let's turn the organ section off, and let's layer in a synth sound with our piano sound. Let's turn off the B and C layers. To turn off a layer, same button, but you hold it, and you can hold one or more at a time. So now we just have this really pure saw waveform that we've got here. Let's go ahead and change the sound that's on this layer A of our synth section. We want to make sure that layer is active by tapping on the button once, and that's going to make sure that whatever adjustments we make are being adjusted on that layer. So let's go ahead and tap on the synth preset button, and let's scroll through and select. I like that one, Orchestra Pad. To select that, all we have to do is tap Shift Exit, and that's gonna bring that into our synth section. Now, it brought in, it's a 3-layer synth preset. But what Nord did with this preset is it layered 3 synth layers with our piano layer. Again, if we want to turn layers off, we can turn all 3 synth layers off. Now we're back to that simple grand piano. Again, all layers on by tapping 3 buttons together. So one important thing to keep in mind is even though we have 7 layers, 2 in the organ, 2 in the piano, 3 in the synth section, we can't necessarily layer 7 organs together. So there is a little bit of a delineation here. We can layer 2 organs, which are the modeled organs, 2 pianos. They could be grand, electric, claves, whatever piano samples we want, and then 3 synth. Now the synth could be the modeled analog or sample. So you can mix and match within those 3 synth layers. They don't all have to be one or the other. So I could have 1 analog, 2 sample, 1 sample, 2 analog, or all 3 sample, all 3 analog. So you can mix and match in there. So keep that in mind as you're building. If you're like, oh, I want, 7 pianos all stacked together. That's not going to be possible because 2 of those are dedicated to the organs. The other 3, you might be able to find some piano samples to pull into the sample mode of the synth section, but they're not going to be as good as the piano samples from Nord's piano library. So layering, we can just turn 1 or more layers on at a time, and we can layer 2 organs, 2 pianos of any type, and 3 synth, either analog or sample mix and match, all on at the same time. Effects are applied to either everything globally, a section as a whole, or individually per layer. The one exception being the organ section does not have independent effects per layer. The effects apply to both A and B at the same time. Now let's say that we want to split sounds that we've got layered. So in order to really split, it only makes sense to split if you've layered 2 or more sounds together and you want to split those 2 sounds or 3 sounds into different zones on the keyboard. So the stage 4 has 3 split points, which gives you 4 possible zones. Now you don't have to use all of them. You could do 1 split point, 2 zones, 2 split points, 3 zones, or 3 split points, 4 zones. So let's tap on this split button up here to turn split on, and you'll notice now our KB zone LEDs light up for any section where we have layers that are on. And then we have a split point light lit here. So there's LEDs in different spots along the keyboard. Those are our possible split points. So to change split settings, we hold down on that split button and it opens up our keyboard split menu. Not a lot of menu diving on the stage 4, but this is one area where we've got a little menu for our keyboard split settings. So with the split, right now we have 1 split point on, the other 2 are off. If we wanted to turn the others on, all we do is tap on the respective split point soft button that coordinates to these 1 through 4 under the screen. And now we've turned on those 3. If we want to turn it off again, you can just tap the button and turn it off. Or if it's on, you can scroll between all of the different split points that are possible with this. So again, I'm going to turn those 2 off, but you could turn those on and give yourself more zones if you wanted. So let's go ahead and do something cool here. So we're going to take the 3 synth layers and we're going to put those just in a lower zone. And then we're going to put the piano over the whole thing so that when we're playing the piano up high, it's not doing a lot of synth action up there, keeping the synth down in the lower part. So what we're going to want to do here is on our split point for the middle, right now it's set at C4. Let's bring that up to maybe C5. So we can scroll with our encoder and that's going to bring that up to C5. Now to select the zone that we want to layer in, right now you'll notice my layers are all across the entire keyboard because all 4 zone lights are lit up. To change the zone that a layer's in, activate the layer. So tap on, let's say piano, and then hold shift and then tap the forward and back buttons here for the KB zone, holding shift. And that's going to change between the possible zones. So because we only have 1 split point and 2 zones, we can either put the piano in the lower zone, the upper zone, or across the entire keyboard. We're going to leave it across the entire keyboard. Over in our synth section, tap on layer A. And what we want to do here is just set this in the lower zone. So we're going to hold shift, tap on the octave down or KB zone down button, and the LEDs are going to indicate which zone our layer is in. Let's do the same thing with our B layer, shift down, and our C layer, shift down. Now what this is doing is taking all of our synth layers and just putting them in the lower zone, which is this section here, and our piano is across the whole thing. So now when we play this, no synth is under there, but when we come down to the B5, we have the synth underlying our piano. It's pretty slick. Now let's do one more cool trick with our split. What we can do is leverage Nord's feature called X-fade or crossfade. To turn this on, and I'm going to demonstrate what this does tap on the number 1 button to move our highlight up 1 row into that crossfade feature. Now, right now it's highlighting on the center split point. We could do the lower and upper by tapping the 3 and 4 buttons, but because we only have 1 split point here, I'm okay with it being in the mid. And then we can choose between plus and minus 6 or plus and minus 12 for a crossfade. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna turn our LED red for plus minus 12 or orange for plus minus 6. And this is going to fade each sound across the zone. So in our case, the synth is in the lower zone. So plus minus 6 is the synth sound, in our case, is gonna fade out plus 6 semitones above our split point. Now, if the piano is only in the upper, then the piano would be -6 semitones for the fade out, and 12 would be 12 semitones up or down. So let me turn it off and I'll just play down here so you can see the hard cut on the sound. Just piano, piano and synth. Let's turn on a plus minus 6. So now I'm gonna come from a little higher, and notice the synth sound's gonna start to fade in a little bit as we get down towards that split point. Till we get into the full synth zone. Plus minus 12. Now, what's really nice about this is as we're playing, we have no hard cut of that synth sound. It's fading over that split point really nicely. So that's a quick and dirty on how to layer and split sounds on the Nord Stage 4. We could take and add additional split points, add additional layers, and really build a wild, 4-zone split and layer going on, all in a single program with the functionality that we have on the Stage 4. I've got a ton of videos on my channel on how to use the Nord Stage 4, as well as that training course and a bunch of sound packs on my website, DSoundman.com. Go check that out if it's of interest to you. If you have any questions around what I went over in this video, feel free to throw those down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching, stay inspired, and keep making that music.